Kia ora koutou. Good afternoon. Ko Angela Caves Tokawenga, no mai haere mai. Welcome to the Central North Island Business Growth and Support Virtual Conference. My name is Angela Caves and I'm the Partnership and Events Lead with Digital Boost. It is my pleasure to be joining you this afternoon. This is day 3 of our conference, our third and final day, and we're into session 3 of 5 for today. Welcome to our audience who have joined us here in the webinar, and a warm welcome to anybody who might be viewing via live stream on either Facebook, LinkedIn or YouTube. Thank you for tuning in to listen to the breadth of support that is available across the Central North region. We've had 2 wonderful days where you will be able to review any of the sessions that you may have missed. We will be distributing a link of a full playlist for you. On the webinar with me this afternoon, I've got my co-host, Melissa Edmonds-Wale. Melissa is from connected.govt.nz, who have been collaborating with us to bring this conference across the country, actually. So I'm going to hand over to Melissa. Melissa's going to take us through some webinar housekeeping and then introduce our guest presenter. Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, Ange. Kia ora everybody, ko Melissa Ho. For those of you who are joining us on the webinar, just a couple of things. We can't see or hear you. Obviously you can see and hear us, but if you have any questions, not to worry. If you can just slip them into the chat box down the bottom or the question and answer box, we will answer them as soon as the webinar is over and get that information back to you. Also, these sessions have been recorded, so they'll be uploaded to the YouTube playlist on the Digital Boost channel for everyone's viewing, but you'll also get a link sent to you after this webinar today. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Adam Hubbard. He is our labour, or basically looks after all of our labour with our workbrokers. He is our workbroker manager, and here we go. Take it away, Adam.
Tēnā koutou katoa, no tamaki makarora hau, engare, ko Taranaki te kāinga, ke uranui au e noho ana, ko Adam Hubbard tōku ingoa. So, hi, welcome folks. I am the Manager of Regional Employment for the Ministry of Social Development for the Taranaki, King Country and Whanganui region. And I look after a team of 14 workbrokers and 14 employment coordinators. And primarily our job is to support New Zealanders into employment, not only from people who receive income support from MSD, but also all New Zealanders that are looking to kind of potentially maybe upskill, or they may be at risk of long-term unemployment or risk of benefit receipt. So that's me. I work with people like Melissa, and we do work collaboratively, and there's a whole bunch of people who just work together to support people, obviously on their life's journey. So do you want me to just share my screen?
Yeah, go for it. That would be great.
Yep, and I'll just crack in. We've got a bit of a presentation about some of the services we provide and the products that we have. So we've got a thumbs up. Can we see that, folks?
You certainly can. Thanks, Adam.
Awesome. All right, so employment. It's my gig, as I was telling you before, with the support of people like Melissa and obviously our workbrokers. And who's got to click on that, don't I? And some of you may not know, but we actually have a recruitment service, and it's a no-fee recruitment service. And primarily our primary task is to get job seekers who receive income support into employment. And so currently we have 9,200 local job seekers for our region, and we do this kind of digitally and in person. So digitally we have lots and lots and lots of jobs advertised on our Find a Job website. We reach out to people through text and email, and ideally we like to get people in so we can actually screen the people to make sure that we profile or match to the right employer. And so when we do that, once we understand what the employer is after in terms of a vacancy they may list with us, or hey, look, just send me people because I need people who all the time. Once we understand kind of what they're after, we'll then ensure that we send the right people to the employers. Now, sometimes the clients might have a few issues to kind of work with, particularly since we come from COVID, there's a bit of anxiety still out in the market, and so we do advocate for a lot of our clients that just need additional support, and that's what we're there for, just to support people into employment. And then we'll obviously have regular job fairs, and we collaborate with other agencies and employment service providers, and that's the likes of recruitment agencies. So we work closely with them as well, and we have a great relationship with them, and support one another. And then we also work with other agencies that might have employment services as well. We tend to find that a fair percentage of the people they work with are people that we are working with as well. So opposed to two people trying to work with an employer, we sometimes just say, hey, let's work together and come up with a way to help someone into employment. All right. So just go through. Are you going to let me know, Angela, if there's questions as we go along, or will you, because I'll just rattle on?
I think what we'll do is we'll address any of the questions that come in towards the end. So feel free to do your full presentation, and then what we'll do is we'll collate the questions in the background, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So other products and thanks, Angela. So other products and services. So we're going to talk a bit about FlexiWage first. There's a few different components to FlexiWage, but primarily FlexiWage is a wage subsidy, I suppose, that we support people into employment. And I'll go through some of those values of what that is in a minute. But there has some other components to it. One of the components is kind of in training related to that employment. And it's short-term training, on-the-job training, and potentially up to level 3 training, like getting a certificate in something and so forth. And then the other component of it is in-work support. So I'll go through a bit more about what that means. So what are the rates? So the short-term training is up to $1,000. So that could be things like how you need to take someone off the floor to work with them for a week or two. So you can use that money to fund them, to support them, side-by-side training, or they may need a driver's license, or they may need a forklift license, or they may need a first aid certificate. So any of that unit standard training, we use that $1,000 to support people in that employment. And then we have up to $5,000 for NZQA training courses at level 3 or above. As I said before, it's like a certificate in something. So that's the training component of it. And then the subsidy itself. So we kind of have two bands. Band 1 is $6,624, and so that's a $276 payment per week for 24 weeks. And then we also have the band 2 is $9,936, and that's $276 for 36 weeks. And then we also have a discretionary rate for job seekers who have more complex needs. So that's might be someone who's been on income support for a long time, and so they might be a bit anxious about employment, and so we might need to throw some additional funding to support that into employment. And then we also have support in terms of post-placement support, and so that might be, you might need to assign someone to a mentor, and so we'll cover any actual and reasonable costs to support that person with FlexiWage. So that's kind of our main product that we use. Probably 90% of our subsidies are the FlexiWage product. And then we have another product for people who are at risk of long-term benefit dependency or disadvantage in the labour and labour market, and that's a FlexiWage self-employment subsidy. So basically, in a nutshell, if we have someone on our books that's finding it hard to get into employment for whatever reason, and they've may potentially been on the books for a period of time, but they have a business idea, we can support people with FlexiWage self-employment, and it's $600 a week over 28 weeks if they're running their business full time. They have a grant, which we call Business Training and Advice Grant, of up to $5,000. And that's essentially to support someone with their business plan. And then we also have a potential startup, business startup grant as well of $10,000. So I've been with the ministry for 4 years now, and I've run businesses most of my life, or run business units. And so I'll make sure that we actually tap into that business training and advice grant. We kind of max it out, and that's really to ensure that the business is viable and they've got that support along the way to ensure that they're successful. Because the last thing we want to do is put people at risk and potentially, incur debt if the business is not successful. And so, yeah, again, I just tap into that business and advice training grant to make sure that we've got a good, solid business proposal or viable product at hand and make sure they're successful. So there is some other eligibility criteria for it. Obviously, they've got to be out of work, obviously 18 to 64, and they can't. So they've got to be. They can't be insolvent. They're not be insolvent. So if someone's got obviously been bankrupt or undergoing asset procedure tests, we're probably going to be unlikely to help them. All right, I'll go on to the next one. This is my favorite product of all. The product's called Manawa Mahi. And so if you're really keen to help someone on their kind of career journey, aim towards things like apprentices, or apprenticeships, I suppose, in building, construction, hairdressing, all that. Could be like scaffolding. You've signed a lot of companies up into, a lot of people up in Manawa Mahi to scaffolding companies as they go through their levels of go through their levels to get their tickets. Essentially, it's got to be 120 credits at level 4, and so that covers a real broad range of opportunities. So it's made up of a few components, and probably the wage subsidy, I suppose, is $16,000 for a year. So it's a payment of, I think it's about $1,532 a month. We also support people up to $2,000 with pre-employment training. Again, so that's driver's licenses, forklift licenses, first aid certificates, anything like that. Funding of $8,000 a year towards the training course. So where it's not covered by the fees free at the moment. And we offer ongoing coaching and mentoring for you and the employee. So it's a really good product. I think for employers, it takes a bit of the risk away. I've been an employer, I know the risks taking people on. So FlexiWage and Manawa Mahi are really designed to reduce some of that risk as you kind of bring these people on into employment. And then also with Manawa Mahi, the person or the participant receiving the Manawa Mahi also get incentive payments of up to $3,000 a year, and that's paid at 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. We quite encourage people who are on Manawa Mahi to use those incentive payments to progress their career, particularly with people who are either like a builder or mechanic, so forth. Just use those funds to buy more tools for the job. It's a real good product. Tons and tons and tons of success stories of helping people into employment through the Manawa Mahi program, and it's just a real fantastic product. There is some eligibility criteria around it. Again, it's all around disadvantage in the labour market or at risk of long-term benefit receipt. But again, it's very rare we decline someone in Manawa Mahi, particularly if they've got no skills, and this is a great opportunity for them to get skills. We really advocate for the client to make sure they get onto the scheme. So it's a fantastic product. Can't speak highly of it. So Apprenticeship Boost. So this is a product that was funded through the TEC, and it's administered by us, and it's an online application. So it is coming to an end. It ends in December 2023. Basically, it's 20 more months support at $500 a month for each apprentice, and the eligibility around that is they've got to be less than 24 months in their apprenticeship, and employers need to be paying minimum wage at least, or the training wage, and they need to be signed up to a recognised ITO or other provider that's recognised by the Tertiary Education Commission. It's a fantastic product. Again, a lot of employers that we speak to who are umming and ahhing about putting someone on an apprenticeship because they're not too sure what the economy holds, or is forecast to do. We talk about the Apprenticeship Boost product. So this potentially is not even a client of ours. It's just an everyday New Zealander who is wanting an opportunity with an employer. We talk about the product, and essentially, we've had stories where they sign up the next day because, again, it just takes that kind of risk away. It's just some additional funding because we realise that apprentices don't necessarily are productive, particularly in those first 12 to 18 months, and just kind of reduces that risk. So it is coming to the end. I haven't heard anything to say that it's going to be extended again, and I'm hoping it is. I'm advocating for it because I think it's a fantastic product. It really supports people into apprenticeships and it supports all New Zealanders. So I'm really stoked about that product. I think it's fantastic. Yep, so that's Apprenticeship Boost. Mainstream products. So mainstream, it's something that we really don't promote, and it's something that I think it's a great product, particularly with people who have disabilities or health conditions. It's a wage subsidy essentially, with support to set people up. So that's around additional training, equipment, or any other support they need, such as transport, etc., etc. So there's 3 types of mainstream products. So there's the employment program that runs for a year, has 80% wage subsidy for the first 6 months, and then 50% wage subsidy for the second 6 months. Again, there's additional funding available for it, for training, equipment, and other assistance. So that's probably the one we know most best, like my team know best. And then there's 2 other products which requires the people to be signed up with B-Lab. And the first one is the Mainstream Intern Program, which runs up for 12 weeks. And MSD will pay for the clients' wages while they're on placement. And then the other one is Mainstream Paid Work Experience. Again, the person has to be working with B-Lab. It's a program that runs up to 16 weeks. And we'll pay the clients full wages while the client is on placement. It's a product that we kind of tie up with another provider, so Workbrokers will be able to kind of link you up with the right people. And I think I've done about 3 in my tenure here. I really want to promote the product because I think it's fantastic. I just want more people kind of tapping into that support. Cool. And that's pretty much me. I know I haven't rabbited on for too long. So again, just a reminder, so we're no fee recruitment. So as I said, for our region, we have 14 Workbrokers and 4 employment coordinators. The difference between a Workbroker and employment coordinator is a Workbroker deals with everybody, and employment coordinator works with people who have health and disability barriers to work with. So we can either advertise for you through our our products or our website, or we can actually profile people to employers directly. So if you've got a high turnover of staff, or you've got continuing ongoing employment opportunities, we just get to a place where we just keep flicking CVs through, and then if anyone is of interest, we just try to touch base and then organise interviews, etc., from there. The flex wage product, as I spoke about, it's probably 90% of our product. 90% of our subsidies are the flexi wage product. Just to remind you, so the flexi wage products are upfront payments too. So if you sign someone up, the money comes in from the beginning to support that person. We talked about flexi wage self-employment. So that's for people who struggling to get a job but want to give self-employment a crack. That's what that product is there for. We also spoke about Manawa Mahi. Again, it's my favorite product. We just see so many success stories from it. Just gives so many people an opportunity to learn a trade or get real good experience in a specific industry. It really sets people up for life. And then we spoke about the apprenticeship support through the Apprenticeship Boost scheme. And as I said, that's coming to an end in December 23. So if you do have an apprentice that's kind of within the first 24 months, you can consider that product to get people into employment or to support that person through their apprenticeship. And then we spoke about the mainstream product, or the mainstream program, sorry, and that supports people with mental and disability barriers to get them into work. So look, you can email me directly, and then I'll just forward your inquiry onto the right person, depending where you're coming from, or where you're calling from, or where you're touching base from. Yeah, and just love to hear from you. We love talking to employers. We love talking to people. We love matching people to employers. This is what we're here for. This is our gig. And that's me, Angela.
Excellent. Thank you, Adam. We have a couple of questions. That's okay. So one question is, if I hire somebody using the wage subsidies and they don't work out, do I have to repay the money?
No. Simple answer is no, because we don't pay it all in one lump sum. And so if you if you sign someone up and we pay for a first aid certificate, and then we kind of pay that first 4 weeks up front, and then for some reason it falls down, obviously the person will have a first aid certificate, which is fantastic, but there's no need to repay the subsidy back. Some people do. Some people say, hey, I want that money to be returned, so that we can actually receive it back, but essentially we don't ask for it back. We'd hope you'd support someone else. So that's what it's there for.
Excellent, thank you. And the next question is, what do I have to do to get the self-employment wage subsidy grant? So the flexi wage self-employment.
Yeah, so essentially, we'd like people to, so if you're a person that comes on and comes support, and you've only just come on, it's kind of like that's short term, and so we don't necessarily offer that. But if you've been here long term, and you're at risk of not getting a job, it's just talk to your case manager or talk to a work broker, and then we can kind of guide people through that journey.
Nice. And the last. Sorry.
One thing I probably didn't mention is that all the stuff I'm talking about today is on the Work and Income website. And it's really easy to navigate. You just kind of bring up the website, type in, mana mahi, mainstream, flexi wage, self-employment, and all that information comes up from either from an employer's point of view or a client's point of view, on what they're entitled to, what their eligibilities are, and how to contact us.
I think there's a link. It's in the chat too. So if anyone's interested, the link is in the chat. And the lucky last question we have here is, can I get help with writing a business plan for the flexi wage self-employment?
Absolutely. So I spoke about that BTAG funding available, the BTAG grant. It's up to, I think it's up to it is up to $5,000. And so kind of that, the process we go through is that when someone says they're interested in starting their own business, we need to make sure it's sustainable and it's viable, because the last thing we want to do is set someone up for failure. And I just really encourage that that people spend a couple of hours with one of our providers, and these are businesses that support businesses. So it's not a provider, they've got a whole heap of experience and knowledge on how to set up and run businesses. And so just spend a couple of hours with them, have a talk about their business idea, and talk about the markets, talk about break-even analysis. How many units do I need to sell to make a living? And then once they kind of that we think it is viable, and then we go through from there to kind of get that business plan written up.
We just have sorry, Adam, to cut you off. We just have another question that's popped through. How do you get in-work support if you'd like to take part in an in-work support service?
In-work support? So in-work support. So in-work support can come from a variety of places. So we actually have a centralised team in Wellington that do in-work support. And so if you're a client of ours and you want some in-work support, I'm pretty sure you just ring up, talk to your case manager, and they can hook you up with that. But if we've placed someone through an employer and the work broker has a relationship with that employer, we can also do in-work support through that way. If a person has a case manager, they can actually ask for continuous support that way, and they'll make sure that they get that support that they need. Make sure they put them in the right direction. If there's any other entitlements that are can have access to them, make sure they get that as well.
Excellent, thank you. Awesome. I'll hand you back to Ange, and if you have something else to say, I'll pass you back over to Ange.
No, that's me.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Melissa. some great products there to support employers looking to take on some staff, or if anybody's looking to go into business for themselves. So fantastic that we've had you on sharing that information.
My pleasure.
I did pop into the chat there a couple of links. So a link around business training and advice grant, and then I popped your details in there as well, Adam, in case anybody wants to reach out directly to you. But thank you again for joining us. It's been great to hear about what MSD is doing in that space to help support our local businesses. Thank you.
Ka kite. See you later, folks.
If any of you get stuck and you need to find your next steps with your business, please do head over to Connected. That's what they are there to do. They are the one-stop shop to be able to be that conduit of connection wherever your business is potentially at. So reach out to any of our local employment liaison advisors within the region, and they'll be able to connect you up with the likes of Ministry of Social Development or any of the other organisations taking part in our conference, as well as anything else happening locally. As a reminder, Digital Boost is here to support you in your digital transformation journeys or help with your digital adoption capabilities. We have a learning platform full of hundreds of videos to help support you on your digital transformation journey and accelerate your digital capabilities with those small snippets of learning resources available on the platform, along with Checkable, which is a free diagnostic tool that will help you take an assessment of how your business is performing digitally. So please log on or sign up to Digital Boost. There is no cost for that. If you'd like to hear more about Digital Boost, I am going to be rounding out our conference at 3:15 with a session on Digital Boost platform, a little bit more of a deep dive in there. That does bring our session to a close. Before I am up at 3:15, we have got another session from a government agency. We've got Inland Revenue joining us, talking about all about support for your business and its tax obligations. So please feel free to join us. If you'd like to sign up for that session, please head over to Connected, the In Your Region section, and have a look for the event under the Central North Island options there. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I will see you in the last two sessions later on.